Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sport. There's a very big buzz around the country after Rassie Erasmus has officially confirmed his 23rd take on the All Blacks at Eden Park on Saturday. And lots to dissect within the squad itself, including a 5-3 split, a couple of contentious calls. But the one decision that is causing a lot of stir, and I've had lots of people messaging me, so I thought I'd actually come out and explain it, is the decision to make JC Kriel the captain on the day. And it's actually a decision to keep JC Kriel as the captain on the day. And basically, it's nothing sinister, but it actually goes quite far into showing you the mentality and the environment within the Springboks at the moment. And I think the fact that he is captain is actually very healthy with regards to the decision-making process that has led up to him leading out the side on Saturday, despite the fact that Kolisi is in the starting lineup and is involved in the squad itself. Before we do that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so this is the team, and as you can see, a big talking point is the big C next to JC Kriel. And Rassie Erasmus has confirmed that he will captain the side. He is the captain on Saturday, despite the fact that Kolisi is in the number 8 jersey. Now, the reason for that, Kolisi was not supposed to, I don't know if he was supposed to be on the bench, but he was not supposed to start the game. Jean-Luc du Preez was set to start in the number 8 jersey, and they basically internally had announced the side with Jean-Luc du Preez in the number 8 jersey, and therefore JC Kriel was set to captain, which is quite interesting itself, given the fact that Eben Etzebeth is starting, Pieter-Steph du Toit is starting, and they were still going to back JC Kriel as the captain, even ahead of Andre Pollard, who, you know, has kind of been the official vice captain over the last few years. But the captaincy dynamics have always been very interesting within the Springbok squad. You know, we've had a Dion Fourie, for example, being an on-field captain. We've had Bongi Mbonambi captaining, even when Eben Etzebeth starts, the likes of that. So it's always been a very interesting dynamic. And basically, what happened is that because of the niggle of Jean-Luc du Preez, Kolisi came into the side in the number 8 jersey. However, internally, they had already announced that JC would be captaining the side. And basically, they said that they did not want to then take away the captaincy from JC after it had already been decided. And this is the official quote in the press release itself. He said, Sia was touch and go for the match early in the week after picking up a niggle a few weeks ago, and we didn't want to risk him unnecessarily. But with Jean-Luc du Preez having picked up a niggle at training this week, Sia was the obvious choice to slot in at number 8. At that stage, Jesse had already been told he would be the captain, and it was only fair for us to keep things that way. He's a great leader and one of the core players in our team. His communication with the referee and his teammates is good, and he leads by example in the way he plays, so he deserves the opportunity. It'll also be a big occasion for him to captain the team against the All Blacks for the first time, so we are proud of Jesse, and we know he'll carry the responsibility with great pride. I love this. I absolutely love this decision. And I think what's so cool about the decision is that JC Kriel would have been 100% okay if he was told, listen, Sia's going to start, so obviously he's captain. You know, he would have expected it, to be honest. He would have sat there saying, oh, well, of course. You know, especially knowing the guy. He's the most humble, team first, it's not about me type person, which I think what makes him such a good option. But the fact is, they told him you're going to be the captain. And the fact that the team has changed, they're saying, well, that doesn't change anything. You know, you will still lead us out. You have been preparing to lead the side. You've been preparing to communicate with the referee. You've had all this sort of preparation. You will still do the job. And how cool for him to be able to lead our team that has Sia Kolisi in it. I mean, I don't think anybody's done it since he has been named as captain. So it's a huge backing for JC Kriel. And I think that this will bring out the best in him. You know, I do think he's the type of leader who leads by example. You know, he had a couple of tough tests, but I think he's shown recently he's still got it. I mean, last year he was best 13 on the planet. And I think that my gut says he's in for a big game on Saturday, because I think the responsibility will bring up the best of him. It also might be a good thing for Kolisi to maybe have a game where he doesn't have to worry about talking to the referee and that communication, stuff like that. Maybe he can take a step back to a certain degree and just focus on being the best version of himself as a rugby player, because we always talk about his leadership being so good and so significant. I don't think people give enough attention to Kolisi, the player, and how much value he brings on the field. And I think that it's a really good dynamic to show you and to show others that the Bok management will back you. You know, once you made a decision, we will back our decision. We will back you. We're not going to go back on our word. And it's that trust that they've built with their players, which is why these players would run through walls for the coaches, because it's decisions like this where JC's been told you're the captain and been told, well, it doesn't matter, Sia's back, and you are still our captain. We made you our captain. We decided you're our captain. You will lead us on Saturday unless you're not playing. That is the only reason why he wouldn't captain on the day. And that kind of backing is infectious. As a young player, you look at that kind of backing, you think, jeepers, if I give my all for these coaches, they will back me. They will also run through walls for me. And it's that kind of team culture and that sort of embodies what the Springbok brand is all about and why we can find that extra inch sometimes and why this team has been so successful. Because it's an egos at the door kind of vibe. It's not about you. It's not about Sia captaining this box again and being the person in the limelight. It's about what is best for the team. And that's not to say Jesse Kriel is the best captain for the team, but the decision to keep him as captain is the best decision for the team. And I think it's a very significant move. It might not seem that significant, but what that does for a player to have that backing is huge. And I think that it makes people more hungry. It also shows us we've got other options. This might give us a bit of a peek into life after Siya Kolisi as a captain. I mean, he's only got 2 more years, really, probably, of international rugby left, assuming his injuries can get through him. And he's going to probably play 100 tests in the next year. He's got 90. I think he's had 95th on the Saturday. But there will be life after Siya Kolisi, and Jesse Kriel has emerged as a very interesting captaincy option because he's the only real backline player who's actually captained us recently. Lekanya did SAA back in the British and Irish Lions. Pollard's been an on-field captain at times, but very few sort of captains have led us the Springboks out themselves in the backline. So it's been an interesting dynamic change that all of a sudden Jesse Kriel's been backed ahead of an Eben Etzebeth, a Peter Steph the Toy, a Honjay Pollard, for example, who are all in the side. Even take away Siya Kolisi, all of those guys were in the original side, and they've still gone to Jesse and said, we still back you as captain. So I think it's fantastic. And I think it's just such a nice anecdote of what this team's about and how to fully back players, in all your decisions. It's easy to say in the press conference, oh no, we backed them. But you got to walk the talk. You got to live the motto and live the culture that you're trying to instill and that you're trying to impose on these players. And decisions like this reinforce that team culture that they've built. And it's that team culture, which is why players don't mind if they don't get selected, but they can understand and they still buy into being the best at training, helping out the team with analysis, and trying to do everything they possibly can as a collective to try and beat the All Blacks on Saturday. So that explains the decision. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight, and I think it's phenomenal. What do you think, though? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well, and I'll chat to you guys all soon.